Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of Cutter One. I am Jay, just Jay, your resident troublemaker and your resident culture warrior. I hope you are doing well on this lovely weekend. Hope everyone's getting out, making some plans, get out and enjoy the day. It's a beautiful fall day. All right, so let's get right into it. I saw this article and I thought it was really cool, and figured it's really cool in the sense that it should spark a lot of discussion. Okay, a lot of discussion. I am hoping at least that the comment section would be very active with this one, because I think it's kind of it's a good question, something I hadn't thought about. And here it is. It's coming to us from CBR.com, and it says Peter Jackson could return to the Lord of the Rings, but should he? There's still a chance for director Peter Jackson to return to the Lord of the Rings, but is it time for him to leave Middle Earth behind? Let's see. When thinking about the creative minds behind The Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson's name pops up almost as much as Tolkien's. Most fans agree that his trilogy is an incredible adaptation, especially considering the size of the books compared to the relatively short length of a movie. And while it's been many years since Peter Jackson visited Middle Earth, there's still the chance he could come back to it once again. But nevertheless, is it time for him to say goodbye to the franchise? There are countless fans who have Peter Jackson to thank for introducing them to the franchise. While Tolkien's novels will always be timeless classics, there's no denying that Middle Earth is only as popular as it is today because of the movies. And so, the thought of Amazon bringing this director back to continue the Middle Earth saga is appealing to many. However, it could end up ruining his franchise rather than improving it. Why Peter Jackson should return to The Lord of the Rings. When watching the behind the scenes for The Lord of the Rings, Peter Jackson clearly has a deep love and respect for the franchise. Even while making The Hobbit, which featured quite a few deviations from the novel, there's still a clear love for Tolkien's world and the rich history behind it. So Peter Jackson is a great contender for pushing the franchise forward, as he's proven to be a dedicated fan time and time again. On top of the story Peter Jackson told, his version of Middle Earth is what many envision when they think of The Lord of the Rings. The landscapes of New Zealand and the designs of kingdoms have become iconic recreations of Tolkien's work. And while Peter Jackson may not have designed them himself, it's his creative vision that always brings the world to life. So, if he were to return to the franchise, his beloved version of Middle Earth would return as well. Why Peter Jackson should be done with Middle Earth. The Lord of the Rings is unlike any other fantasy movies, and they seem almost impossible to top. Their creation was a perfect blend of cast and crew who absolutely adored the films they were making, and they had a surprising amount of creative freedom and money to do what they wanted. But times have changed in the film industry, and Peter Jackson's method of storytelling no longer work as well as they used to. The obvious example is with the Hobbit trilogy. Opinions are far more mixed compared to The Lord of the Rings, as they often feel bloated, unfocused, and full of unnecessary CGI. And when watching the behind the scenes footage, it's clear Peter Jackson was stressed and frustrated with the time constraints put on him by the studio. The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, had the strictest deadline and was seemingly rushed, and most agree that it's the weakest movie of the bunch. The Lord of the Rings will always be seen as one of the greatest trilogies ever made, and to recapture that success seems like an impossible endeavor. And The Hobbit shows Peter Jackson is willing to deviate far from the source material, which is the last thing Middle Earth fans want more of. So overall, it feels best that he takes a step back from Middle Earth and let new creative minds take over. All right, so there you have it. There's the argument for and the argument against, according to Ben Hardwick. So the question is, what do you guys think? My personal opinion, I would love to see Peter Jackson take over the Amazon series if, and this is a big if, Amazon gave him creative control. Okay, and because creative control is where all of these issues are going to come down to. And that's sort of, you saw Peter Jackson having limited creative control, was what plagued The Hobbit. The changes that were made in the Hobbit films, some of them came directly from the studio, not giving him total creative control. For instance, the love story between what was her name? the female elf and the dwarf. I can't remember the names, but anyway, that was Peter Jackson. Everybody was opposed to having that in there. That was a studio executive decision. The studio execs wanted they felt they needed some form of love story, something similar to the Arwen slash Aragorn love story of the original trilogy. They felt they needed, and so they sort of shoehorned that in there. And from what I understand, Peter Jackson was opposed to that. So were several other people involved with the project, but the executives wanted it, and so it got put in there. So as long as Peter Jackson was given creative control and final creative say over the Amazon series, I think he could save it. I really do. I think his vision and his respect for Tolkien's work and adhering to the lore could turn the ship around, so to speak, for the Amazon series. I don't think they would ever give him that, though. At this point, I agree insofar in that famous interview that Peter Jackson gave, where he states that they purposely were knowledgeable of not putting their politics, meaning Peter Jackson and Fran Walsh and them not putting their politics into the trilogy, and rather let the only politics that came, or semi-politics that came through, would be what Tolkien was concerned, the things that were important to Tolkien, the messages that were important to Tolkien, that those were what were put into the film, not any modern day messages from the directors or the studios. I don't think you could do that today, honestly, and sadly, I don't think Hollywood would allow for that today. I think that's the big problem that you're seeing with shows like The Rings of Power and others, where Hollywood just says, no, we have a God-given duty to make sure that everybody watching this is enlightened and brought over to our way of thinking, because we can't just let these savages run around with their own opinions and thoughts and ideas. And so I don't think they would give Peter Jackson that final bit of control. So in that sense, knowing today's Hollywood and the way it works, I would say it's probably better that he doesn't get involved with the Amazon show. But on the off chance that Jeff Bezos suddenly said, I don't care what anybody thinks, get Peter Jackson, give him total control if that's what it takes, but get that man in here to fix this, then I would fully be behind it. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think the Amazon series could be saved if Peter Jackson came back? Do you think Peter Jackson should come back to Middle Earth? Would you like to see Peter Jackson? I know aesthetically we'd all love it. He knows how to bring the images to life. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Remember, if you like the video, to give it a thumbs up, give it a like, give it a share, and above all, please subscribe. Let's keep the momentum going. Let's build this thing, and keep a lookout. Like I mentioned in a previous video, I am currently working on editing a video, a long-form video. It's going to be about a half hour, if not longer, regarding lore. I saw what you guys said in the poll that I asked, and you guys said you wanted things to go more in a deep dive lore take on things, and so I'm working on a video that handles the actual subject of lore. What is it? How is it important? Why is it important? Etc. Working on that right now, so look for that soon. So remember to subscribe, and I will talk to you guys on the next one. Until then, peace.